parking cone.
You still look like a parking
I do, because I fucking just orange.
Yeah, actually, you look more like a parking toad now because you're fucking orange rather than green. Because I've never seen actually, I have seen a green fucking parking cone.
Oh, it's kind of yellow.
Oh, well. It is what it is. We're back with episode 72 of Your House, Our Rules. I almost forgot the name of the podcast for a second when we started it off. So, yeah, we're back, y'all. We got some stuff kicking off. We just got done with the Family Cast, which is doing pretty well, considering that I haven't really uploaded many podcasts in like the past year or so, but we're kicking it off. We got a bunch of political stuff going on in the world. You know, Trump just got inaugurated, and we're starting off the next 4 years with him. So I think we're going to kick it off with the big thing that everyone's kind of talking about, which is the federal income tax. I know we're going to talk about the cabinet a little bit later because a lot of things are changing, and I don't want to focus on politics too much on this podcast, but with what's going on in America right now, it seems like a relevant thing to talk about. So the federal income tax is something that is hopefully coming. I mean, a lot of people are a little bit more sold on it than I think they should be.
Yeah,
I definitely want it to happen because that's like an extra $200 in my paycheck. But at the same time, like, there's some stuff going on that fucking might not necessarily work out as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, like, what a lot of people, I didn't know this till the other day either, but like for the first like 190 years of the country, there was no like federal income tax. It was all done through tariffs.
Apparently, we've only had it through like the last 150 years.
Yeah, and so like the whole tariff thing like worked back in the day, but the government wasn't nearly as big, and they didn't need nearly as much money. Mm-hmm. So like I don't know how well that will work in today's society, but I mean theoretically it's kind of cool, and like the tariff thing also like is beneficial for having jobs here because like the whole reason all the jobs got moved out is because they can pay less money to know for the wages of the employees, and then it like is still cheaper for them to pay all that money in shipping to bring it here. But now with the tariffs, the idea is if like the companies have to pay all this money to ship their goods here and sell them here, that makes it to where companies in America, can build here and have manufacture the goods here, and it now be cheaper because of the tariffs and the shipping. And then over time, like the thought is like that, like with competition and everything, it'll actually bring, more jobs to America and better paying jobs to America, and be like a big deal for
all the imported goods will actually make some money off of too. So I mean, the thing about it is, Trump the first time around, like he had like the tariffs and stuff like that, and like his whole thing with NATO and like that stuff, like it helped the economy of the country for sure.
Yeah.
But like you were saying before, just once it comes down to it, I don't know if it something 150 years ago necessarily translates well to nowadays. It would definitely mean that, I get more of my paycheck, which this is good for me because I don't spend money. I'm kind of a Jew in that aspect. But like the thing about it is it's going to raise the taxes. You're breathing into the mic pretty heavy there too. But yeah, it's going to raise the taxes of just about everything else that you get there. So like I don't spend as much money, so it would benefit me, but there's a lot of people who don't know how to spend money correctly. So it's going to end up kind of like equaling out. Maybe not equaling out, but I think people don't necessarily realize what it's actually going to do to them financially.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole manufacturing thing as well, like, it is, like, it would theoretically be cool if it brought jobs here and, like, higher paying jobs, but the thing that, like, still hangs me up about that is, like, with AI, like, the advances in AI, and, like, once you get AI to a certain point, and AI can advance robotics faster than we ever could, like, and then you get to the point where, like, everything's being delivered by drones or robots, and, like, it gets to a certain point where when people just aren't working anymore, and, like, and like there's projections that one day, like not too far off in the distance, Amazon will be responsible for 50% of like all goods sold.
Yeah, and the thing about it is too, like that's great, but the back in the day when they did it, they were bringing ship over, like the fastest form of transport was like trains and stuff like that, and then ships or whatever. So nowadays you translate that there, like we have planes and everything. Like that's a reason why we're able to put tariffs on it the way we are and stuff like that. I mean, obviously the United States has like almost every biome that could exist like naturally. But so we could be one of those countries that are self-sufficient. But the reason why we have to import some goods from other places is because they just naturally have more of that said textiles or whatever over there.
When we talked about it on the last podcast, like one of the reasons why Ukraine is so important is because the fertilizer, like there's just certain things that exist in certain parts of the world, and like, that's where
they're just better at making it.
And that's honestly why a lot of countries like they have their one staple product, and that's like what allows them to trade and everything with other countries and like kind of exist where they are. And like I don't think any other country in the world could do what we're doing with the tariffs, because like America, like trading and selling with America is so important for like every other country. Like
because we're not the best economy. Technically, that's China, but at the same time, a lot of the reason why we're considered like the strongest economy is because of our military power. I know people don't like to admit it, but whenever they're arguing something, but the reason why China doesn't just fucking completely get rid of us is because that would cause a whole lot of fucking issues.
Yeah, well, I mean, we still have a higher GDP right now. But like I think they like it's projected like over the like if things keep continuing the way they are, they'll actually like overtake us in GDP like within the next 10 years or something like that.
Within the next 10 years?
Yeah, I think that was like the projections beforehand. But like now, potentially that with if Trump's plans actually work out, I have no idea. I'm not even going to pretend like I would know whether or not they will or will not.
No,
but
it's one of those things like the seafloor rising or whatever. Like global warming, it is what it is. You can have your opinion on it, but I've been hearing that fucking like Manhattan would be underwater in the next 10 years for about 30 years of my life.
Yeah, right, exactly, and it's not the case. So,
yeah, and then you get into the thing where China is like, I've seen some stuff. I don't know how true it is, but apparently, like, they can't physically, with the population growth in there, they can't physically, like, feed the amount of people that are being born there. So, like, the young citizens can't necessarily contribute, and then, like, the older people who can't contribute either. There's, like, this weird middle ground, like the boomer era or whatever, that just, like, essentially
having like massive. I know China for a while had like a limit on how many kids you could have. Like I don't know if they still do or not, but like
I'm pretty sure they still do it, but because of that reason, when you're having like. What was the thing that we were told in school that like if you had like everybody line up in one line and then like go into a census or whatever, the population growth is so much faster that it would never physically get through the line because of how long it takes to count the people. Yeah, like it's some crazy shit like that.
That's wild.
Which that I believe because like we're getting to, there's like what almost 2 billion people in that country now.
I don't know. I know China and India are both like absolutely insane. How many people?
It's like half the world population just those two countries.
It's pretty crazy to even think about.
Right. Yeah. Nah, it's fucking insane. But I mean, the federal income tax is something that, like we just said, I'm not necessarily sure if it'll have the impact that people think it will, but it's definitely something that I think the American people need. I think it's good for Trump and his administration. Just having that, because I've always found the like income taxes to be stupid. Like I work a certain amount of hours and I get like a quarter of my paycheck just goes to fucking.
I kind of agree, but I just thought of this like just now. So like if they get rid of the federal income tax, that would kind of make people like not care so much about like what our tax dollars do go to, because it's not our tax dollars at that point. Well, I mean, we're still paying taxes on goods and other things like that. But like if all that money for government spending is coming from tariffs that other countries are paying, I think a lot of people already don't pay any attention. And
no,
like,
that's what I was about ready to say.
Yeah, at that point, I think like most people would just be like, oh, whatever. It's not, I still get all my money, so let the government do what it wants.
Let them do whatever they want. But at the same time, I think people just fucking, because there's so many ignorant people out there that are just going to bitch to bitch too. So like you get both sides of the spectrum.
Dude,
like there's people who have absolutely no idea what's going on in this fucking world, and they still want to fucking run their mouth about
That's
shit.
something I was talking to someone at work about the other day, just like they're like, oh, I don't do politics. And I'm like, dude, I totally get it, like, because it's frustrating and you feel like you can't, like, it doesn't make a difference whether you pay attention or not. But like the main reason why they're able to do whatever they want is because so many people don't care.
They don't care.
If
if the people revolted, we could actually make something happen.
I mean, and that's the thing, though. You wouldn't even need a revolt. Like, if enough people were just aware of what's going on, and it's like you could actually hold the politicians accountable. Like, if you don't do the things that you said you were going to do, you won't get another term. If you take PAC money from pharmaceutical, companies, you won't get another term. And we'll make sure of it. So, like, either, be on the side of the people, or like you'll be right back into with the rest of us quickly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we had Bernie Sanders today with the RFK hearing or whatever, and that apparently I didn't know this, and this is something that like I think that could skew or I think that could like change the way people vote for like Bernie or whatever. He's the number one most contributed to a politician by Big Pharma.
Yep.
And like that's a huge topic for a lot of people.
Second was Elizabeth Warren, and she was like fucking like jumping all over RFK yesterday over something, and like it's just like over not suing fucking pharmaceutical companies. Like it was like her big thing that she was tripping about.
Yeah, she didn't want him to sue.
Yeah, well, of course not, because those are her donors.
Didn't she ask him like, I just need you to guarantee that you're not going to sue anybody? He was like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
He's coming for heads, man. He's coming for some serious
really
shit.
Is. And like that's like one of the things that I'm torn about, just because I don't know enough about the science and stuff. But I do fully believe that like pharmaceutical companies, like in order to get drugs passed, like they like lobby the FDA just like they lobby the politicians and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So I don't believe that they're like making sure that these drugs are okay. Like it's evident that they're not.
What was it? I think it was called
Painkillers.
Yeah,
about
fucking
the Sackler
oxycodone.
family.
Bro,
Yeah.
I will never forget when I was watching that movie. I was like, I don't know how true this is, but there was because that they did. It is facts that they did have like those young girls go and like flirt with doctors and stuff. But they were having like these parties and stuff like that, and like at the end of it, there's this dude dressed up as a fucking giant blue oxycodone, just banging some chick from the back, and I'm like, there's no fucking way.
Yeah, I mean,
and then I thought about it. I was like, well,
dude, it's crazy. But like, I mean, that same thing happens. Like pharmaceutical companies also push for doctors to like, if you prescribe X amount of my pill, we're going to give you a bonus check. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's the same thing with doctors. And like, I like to think that I'm sure there's plenty of doctors out there that actually care about their patients' health. But just like anybody else, if somebody's like making
if
like
it comes down
a better
to like
life
your
for
practice
them and their family, and then like potentially their kids, like sometimes people are going to be like shady about these people that they don't really fucking know.
And I mean, when it comes down to it, like if that's what you have to do to keep like your practice, your place of business open or whatever, like maybe you are willing to fucking be a little less moral at that point in time.
Dude, I mean, like when you look at like another like human being, like another life as just like that's just somebody that I'm interacting with because of my work, like. I'm sure it's not the case. I'm sure there's doctors out there that like actually
think
care
about all the people I work with.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, but I'm sure there's some doctors out there that actually care about patients and their health and stuff like that. But I'm sure there's plenty of them that are just like, this is my job and this is what I do. And if this, if this is part of it, and it's like the industry standard across the board, it's like. It's not like there's any stigma against it or any
And don't get me wrong, like there's some guys that I work with that like I'm cool with. Like I'd hang out outside of work, but at the end of the day, they're just coworkers. Like
in most places, yeah. And so I mean, I don't know. Like there's clearly way too much corruption and shit going on. And as far as the science goes, like a company that is developing a drug should not be able to do their own testing for their drug.
No.
Or have any like.
That's why fucking actual like. Scientific papers or whatever are peer reviewed. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. There needs to be like more of that, and it needs to be more disclosed. Like, if they do a study and there's no no conclusive evidence from it, that study should be posted as well. Like, there should be way more information about these drugs and stuff. And like the COVID vaccine wasn't nearly tested even close to enough before they tried rolling it out and pushing it on people and demanding people take it and stuff like that, man.
I remember when I was telling people about the COVID vaccine, I was like, this is the reason why I won't take it. I was like, well, there were multiple reasons, but I'm like, all of a sudden fucking we're shut down fucking 3 months ago. People are talking about not having a vaccine, and then this vaccine just appears out of nowhere, and I'm like, this just doesn't seem legit to me. Then you get like Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer fucking becoming like top 5 fucking stock trades and stuff like that. It's like this is blatant manipulation and fucking cash grabbing, y'all. Like what are you doing here?
There was definitely something that was not, like on the level with all that shit, and like all the shit that's tied to Fauci with all that and everything. Like, I don't know, man. I think obviously COVID happened at the end of Trump's first term, but like there was definitely something fishy going on there. And like the last 4 years, that like there was so many things that are so fucked up that happened in this country. Like, it just is it's literally mind-boggling to me, like all the things that they tried to do to like potentially cause World War III, like fucking just so many things.
Yeah, but that happens every fucking couple months.
Like after Trump got elected, and then they like after that is when they approved for Ukraine to launch fucking missiles into Russia's homeland, like which they couldn't do without our guidance systems and stuff. So that's like basically the U.S. actively launching fucking missiles into Russia. Like that's a major act of war. Like,
yeah, I mean the whole thing spun a little fishy because it all happened. It's an election year. Every election year, some new disease pops off, and this one went a little bit too far.
Something weird.
And then we ended up getting this fucking geriatric, senile, fucking bullshit as a president. And what was it like? Literally, it was like a month after his inauguration, wasn't it? Was it 2021 that Ukraine got invaded?
No, 2022.
Oh, it was.
It was like February 2022.
Okay, so it was almost a year and like a month or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot, but I mean, we've beaten the shit out of fucking COVID over the years. It's over. It's crazy that it happened, and like sometimes I think back to it, and I'm like, damn. I was like, that really happened.
Dude, I
it made me
think it's like one of the biggest crimes against humanity. It's definitely
our
lifetime.
It has to be.
Yeah,
it has.
And maybe one of the worst ones.
The
in
entire
history.
world was shut down.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I only got 1 day off work, but
all the money that they printed fucking during that time too, like, and that's where most of the inflation came from, is just because they printed like $5 trillion extra dollars during that time.
Of course, everyone's sitting at home and not making money unless you're an essential business. So what do? We just print money, and people think that the fucking money actually has fucking value. It doesn't. You're just going off fucking what the government says that it's worth.
And then they diluted it like super bad when all that happened. That's why the price of everything fucking skyrocketed under the last administration. Like. It's so fucked up, dude. Like I said, that's like I was arguing with Walden, not arguing, we were talking about it, but like that's like why I feel that we had to shake things up one way or another, and the other side there wasn't any shaking things up. So like if I'm wrong about Trump, I'll gladly eat my words, but something had to change in the way things were going.
I mean, I'm still not like a proponent for Trump. I still don't necessarily like his demeanor and his diplomacy and stuff like that, just the way he carries himself as the leader of the free world, air quotes. But he is in a significant place of power, and I don't necessarily like that. But at the end of the day, we're probably going to see fucking more affordable fucking shit. We're probably going to get more in our paycheck. And, like, that's the shit that affects me.
Yeah. And then, like I said, like, from listening to him actually talk instead of just taking, like, media's words for what happened and everything, like, the guy sounds like, like, that he wants there to be peace and everything like that. Like he doesn't sound like some crazy extremist like they try to label him out to be. Like He seems like he's like reasonable.
I mean, the thing about it is, so many people are just completely turned off to anything that he says, and like, I'll admit that I don't necessarily like the person. I don't necessarily want him to be the president of the United States, but there's way too many people out there that just automatically are turned off to him because they think it's something that he represents. Like the amount of, when I went on Twitter during the election night, and the amount of women that were on there like fucking saying that a vote for Trump was a vote against women's rights. I was like, first of all, you guys are putting women's rights down to one specific thing, which is abortion. Secondly, abortion was ruled to be a fucking state decision by the Supreme Court under the Biden administration, who is a liberal. That's your fucking party, y'all. And like, it's just like, you guys have absolutely no idea what's going on. Like, oh, he said fucking grab her by the pussy before he was even the president, fucking on a fucking leaked fucking radio thing or whatever the fuck it was.
I almost forgot about that.
That's why a lot of people, and then,
there
is a thing, and you and Drew were arguing about this last weekend when we were watching some football about the, like, making fun of the mentally handicapped person or whatever. I was like, yeah, that looks bad. Like, you can't.
Definitely. There's definitely things that he's done that are like, okay, that's a little excessive.
But the thing that I'm trying to get at here is, if we're really talking about, like, the morality of this guy, or, like, the way that he carries himself, maybe you should, like, start talking about that a little bit more than, like, the stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with him.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's hard when you actually listen to him and actually listen to the, like, whole conversations instead of just taking clips or seeing a headline and being like, oh my God, did you see what Trump did? Like, I mean, like I said, they got me for years too before I finally, started listening to the shit. And, but like, if you're only listening to one side anyways, like, your news is skewed regardless. Like, even if you, like, go a certain way, like, you've got to try to find out, sift through the information from both sides and kind of figure out what's going on, or you're just,
That's why almost anyone who identifies themselves, like self-identifies as one part of a bipartisan government, I immediately am turned off to almost anything that they're going to say.
Yeah.
Because they're just going to regurgitate shit that they heard off CNN or Fox News or what their fucking dad said or something like that. It's like, you guys don't necessarily even know what's going on, and if you do, or if you do try to stay informed, you're getting all your information from a skewed side of things. So, like, it just doesn't make sense. I know some pretty intelligent people that do lean to one side, but at the end of the day, it's like, man, there's no way you can actually just think about this. You just sound like a fucking puppet.
I mean, I honestly think most people, like, are down the center some way, lean a little bit to each side, but, like,
for sure.
I just, like, for so long, and like I said, we were talking about earlier, like, most people just don't pay any attention to it.
Yeah.
And, like, people either, like, vote with the side that their family always votes for, or if they're, like, have a rocky relationship with their family, they'll, like, end up flipping to the other side.
Yeah,
like,
we got some people in our family like that.
Yeah, I mean, but and then, like, especially, like, with the Democrats, like, most people believe vote blue no matter who, like, and don't even care at all about anybody's principles or what they're standing for.
We know a couple people like that too.
Yeah, and dude, that stuff's just crazy to me. Yeah, it's like,
I don't know how you can look at the shit that we had with Joe Biden for the last 4 years and be like, blue no matter who, fucking, like, there's absolutely no way that you're telling me that guy should be running the country. And then even if he's not, it's like, we didn't even really give anybody a shot at the left side of things. We just come all up there and said, oh yeah, Biden's done. It's like, what are we doing here? This is the least Democratic least democratic shit that I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, what is this? But yeah, man, it's something crazy. Hopefully he gets some stuff done, because now that he's only got the 4 years left, and we've had 4 years without him or whatever, he's really going at it.
Yeah,
so.
Well, that, and like I said, with him almost being killed, like, it's kind of like he's like taking the gloves off, and he knows he doesn't have any more time but this term, so he's got to get things going and get them rolling if he's going to try to make an impact that, like, the American people are going to want to continue with somebody down the same principles that he's instilling, and that is, like, spreading across the fucking Republican Party in that way. Like, there's a lot of a lot of fucking people that are, MAGA or America First, whatever, type movement, and then hopefully that will
the MAGA shit gets me, though, because fucking that's the one that is one thing about Trump that is very scary and that I don't like at all, is the fandom behind him, because there are some people who literally just pick the most ignorant shit that fucking Trump says and just fucking make it their entire personality, and it's just it's fucking pathetic.
That's one of the good things, that he only has one term left, though. So, like, in order for this movement to carry on, it's going to have to be carried on by somebody else with similar ideals, and then hopefully, whoever is next, that if it continues down that path, like, they will be, like, even better than Trump. Because, like I said, there's still definitely, like, multiple things that, like, I have hang-ups about with Trump. Like, he came in and he's stopping all this, like, aid going to other countries and stuff till we, like, analyze it and see what's going on and different things. And there's some good and there's some bad with that stuff as well, because supposedly there's, like, certain organizations that also had their funding stopped. and like they can't exist, like different government services and stuff. And who knows if those government services are full of a bunch of bureaucracy and bullshit.
Most of them
probably are.
Yeah.
But like
some of them are still necessary.
Yeah. Well, like hopefully.
And then I know that there's stuff about something about. I know Stolze was talking to me about this with him saying something like, because we're doing the whole like deportation thing and like all that stuff, but. It's one thing to have that and deport them all, but it's completely another thing. And granted, these are two different sects of like people. I guess that's not the word for it, but apparently he said something about like giving automatic green cards to all Indian people for coming over here and being doctors and stuff like that. And man, I'm gonna sound really racist when I say this, but fucking Indian people are the most difficult people to deal with at work, man. I work in a high end part of Cincinnati, and like, dude, like some of them are like ruthless and relentless with haggling and fucking, dude, I was talking to my boy who had just got back from Arizona a couple months or a couple weeks ago or whatever, and he said, dude, they have absolutely no line with women whatsoever. he's like some of them just like the sexual harassment that I've seen coming from men. They don't even realize.
I was wondering what you were talking about first.
Yes, he's like, dude, they just say the wildest shit. It's like they meet this woman and they're trying to get married to them immediately. Like, yeah. But I digress from that because I just went off on a real, pretty bad tangent.
No doubt.
But
anyway, like with the whole America First thing and him only having this term, like hopefully if whoever is next, whether it's Vance or someone else that's like not even wasn't even a Republican, like potentially like Tulsi Gabbard or someone, or like that would be something crazy and kind of cool, like because like, and that's one of the things that like gets me about. Everybody hammering against Trump and like thinking that he's like this crazy, like super right wing, wild, like potentially about to be a dictator. Like he's got multiple people in his cabinet that are like lifelong Democrats that flip sides because the Democratic Party wasn't what they grew up standing
but he hasn't necessarily named his cabinet yet, has he?
No, that's what these hearings and stuff are going for right now. Like Tulsi Gabbard, it was a Democratic senator from Hawaii.
But they have been named because I thought that he named RFK, and you told me before we started.
He did, but it has to be confirmed by Congress.
Oh, so they're just okay.
Yeah,
okay.
they have to.
It's not confirmed, but it's
they do like a hearing where all the like people on whatever committee get to ask questions, do rounds of questions, and try to see if they think that they're qualified or whatever for it. And then they eventually do a vote, which I imagine they're going to do this weekend for RFK, Kash Patel, and Tulsi Gabbard, either that or the start of next week. But they've all been doing their confirmation hearings and stuff. And I don't think any of Trump's picks, except for one guy that was, I can't remember what his job was supposed to be, but he was, damn, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I mean, I can take it over a little bit from that because I know I'm not as versed on like the politics just in general or whatever. But one of the other positive things that is making something really good for his administration is naming RFK for, I don't know what department it is, but it's essentially the food and stuff like
Health
food
and
drug
Services.
Okay, yeah, and me being like, I work out often. I've had a little bit of a back injury, so I haven't been able to as much recently, but like before that, it was every day. I watch what I eat. Like I've got this app that's actually really cool with people that are still listening at this point. It's called the Yuka app, where you can scan it and it'll scan like the barcode of food, and it'll show all the different additives like texturizers and stuff like that.
That's badass.
Yeah, like, and it's like some of the stuff that's been put in this food is awful.
Yeah,
like,
dude, what's crazy is in most other like developed countries, most of the shit that's in our food is illegal in all these other countries.
People always talk about the bread over here from other countries. Apparently, our bread is super sweet. They're like, there's so much sugar in your guys' bread. Yeah, and like, I used to get these for lunches. I would get these meals. They're called Marie Calendar meals, and they're like one of the more filling, lower priced frozen meals that you could buy. I'd get them for lunch because I don't have time to like actually physically cook something or something like that. And I'm looking at them. I'm like, okay, the protein to fat ratio is not that bad here, so these are good. and I was eating them, and my boy Chris told me, he was like, hey man, he's like, you might want to check into those a little bit because they put a lot of preservatives in those.
Yeah.
And man, I've found out, because like I was getting really, really gassy, and I thought that it was just because I was eating a lot, but I cut those out of my diet completely, and just like I stopped being gassy. So that definitely was what the cause of it was. And I was like, I wonder what they're putting in there to fucking just make me fucking leak out of my ass.
That honestly is like the thing that I'm hoping like is the biggest impact if RFK gets confirmed, like, because there's just all these other countries, all this shit is banned, and it's just not here because of the lobbying and like shit like that. And like hopefully RFK, you know, because he's like literally been suing pharmaceutical companies and different stuff and pointing out like these problems and stuff, that he's like kind of qualified to do this. You know, but like most people's hang up on RFK, especially people
his voice.
Well, no,
I could not handle that as 4 years
the
of his
vaccine,
presidency.
you know, his like views on vaccines and stuff, especially people that are in the like work in the medical field and everything.
Again, a lot of people don't understand his views on the vaccine. He specifically wants to know what's in the COVID vaccine. He's not like an anti-vaxxer like everyone paints him.
Yeah, well, with certain things, he just wants vaccines to be safe. You know what I'm saying? He's not like, from what I understand anyway, he doesn't want there to just be no vaccines whatsoever. He just wants there to actually be like regulation and testing and making sure that like if there is negative things, because like autism basically used to like not exist back in the day. Yeah. And then like it like around the time when they started like boosting the amount of vaccines that kids got and like at earlier ages and stuff, now all of a sudden all these kids are growing up with autism and like on different parts of the spectrum. And it's like, is there a correlation with that?
I mean, there's a lot of correlations with a lot of stuff, because we start putting more preservatives in food. There's like a lot of different stuff that they're putting in, like lotions and other type things. What was the other big one? Also, like overprescription for children or whatever. Yeah. A lot of people think that like the huge Adderall epidemic that we have is going to has caused a lot of the autism in our children.
Dude, no, I mean, who knows? And like all that shit, but like anybody that doesn't eat well anyway, like is going to be more susceptible to having these health problems and stuff. And especially like if your genetics aren't, you know, but because some people can like still be relatively healthy even though they eat nothing but a bunch of crap, especially early on in it. Yeah, I mean, I was able to when I was younger, like as much as I wanted, but like still I wasn't eating healthy. But like if you have those other health issues, like that shit just compounds and like can be even worse. So hopefully, like I said, he's a big deal to me of the ones that are trying to get put through right now. But like the other two, like obviously I think he could make the biggest impact on most Americans' lives. Like if
for sure. I'm pumped about RFK. Yeah, I thought he was, honestly, for like just the things that he represents, he was kind of my favorite for being president. Yeah. But I did realize that he did not have a chance at winning that.
Yeah.
So.
But like I said, like that's awesome. But the other two that are potentially being confirmed right now, Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel, like just because of what they're going to be doing, like working in charge of the intelligence departments, like that shit's got to be cleaned up, like somehow, some way. And they both seem like they're gonna try and like fix that, like, and I don't know if it can be done, but like there's too much power in those governments, that like branches of government that aren't regulated in any way. Because I mean, the FBI and CIA have both helped fucking smuggle massive amounts of drugs into our country for fucking years in order to fund their fucking bullshit fucking
war on drugs and shit like that,
and just like changes in power in third world countries and in Central America and South America and all these places. And like, so they sell drugs, you know, let drugs get sold into the country in order to take that money to buy weapons, to like give weapons to like rebels in certain areas, to like try to like destabilize countries and get people in power that like align with what their views and stuff are. And like, that shouldn't be what those branches of government are
not
for.
I mean, I think that's hard, especially when, you know, because there's been stories about a lot of the presidents over the years have been told like have told like the public that like, when I'm elected president, I'll release the info about aliens or whatever. Yeah. And I've seen a lot of stuff about like these guys who may or may not know what they're talking about, or like the president might not even know about the aliens. He
No,
might not
no,
have
for
the
sure.
clearance for that. And that's what it all comes down to with these agencies like the CIA and FBI. Like, those are some super compartmentalized fucking secrets that maybe even the president isn't down. But I think the thing that you run into and the issue that, like, it's a tall task to ask for is just the fact that, like, there's this trickle-down effect with those. Like, these are such huge agencies that, like, the people at the top don't necessarily have control over, like, the stuff that happens at a bottom level. But I guess at the same time, those top people are the ones who are actually, like, destabilizing these governments and doing all this stuff.
Oh,
So.
no doubt. There's just got to be some sort of change in so many areas. And like I said, man, it's the only party that seemed that was possible through, because nobody was ever going to win from a third party. And like the way that the Democrats do the super delegate system, they can basically like change the course if the people actually voted for somebody else. And it's scary, and it sucks that it's that way, because like I said, I mean, I always grew up leaning left, but I'm taking the only chance that I got, like
your polio switch to the other side.
Yeah,
dude.
throwing myself in with this current, because it's the only way that the way things were going, marching towards global censorship and basically like a one world global government, like it wasn't working.
It's something, man. I don't know. I hope that this new administration can kind of, like, I've always had an issue with Trump being like more of a celebrity and a billionaire and running the country or whatever. But I'm hoping that something about this, because we had the 4 years, and then we had the 4 years with Biden, and then we had the 4 years with him, and now people are realizing, like, hey, maybe Trump wasn't as bad as we thought. I'm hoping this might usher in a new era of, like, something outside of a bipartisan government where people realize that, hey, maybe you don't need to fucking think this way or that way to be the leader of the free world.
Dude, he honestly seems like he's trying to get, like, both sides to work together, and, like, we'll see if he doesn't go after like any of the other side, like politically like motivated, then that's awesome. And he was telling the truth, saying that he was going to end that type of behavior, which they totally tried to weaponize the justice system to go after him.
Yeah.
Like they did that, and that's like, you can't have that. That's what happens in super corrupt countries around the world.
Right.
Like
we're going to go corruption in the United States.
Oh, 100%. But when you're going and like trying to arrest your political opponents and silence them, like we're to a point of no return at that point, because whoever's like in power is just going to stop the other side if they think that there's any threat of them coming and taking power from them. And like, we can't have that. Like, that's why freedom of speech is so fucking important.
It is important. And that's also why independent media, like yours truly, is so important, because in those other countries and stuff like that, that's the difference between the United States and like you were saying before, like the third world countries and stuff like that. Yeah. They are so propagated in their media because they don't have the finances to actually have like your independent people out there exposing some of the truths that are actually happening in their government. So.
Yeah, dude. Actually, when the Ukraine shit first started popping off, there was actually an American journalist that was over there, and he was actually like reporting on what he was seeing from actually being over there. And I don't know why he was still like staying there, but like it got to the point where shit got so bad, and he was reporting stuff, and he was like getting like nervous and worried about it. And he actually like told some people that he was going to try and escape and get out of the country and like get across the border to Poland. And like he ended up not making it, and they ended up putting him in jail in Ukraine, and he ended up dying in a Ukrainian jail. And like fucking he was like a U.S. citizen and shit. Tucker Carlson actually interviewed his dad after it happened, or when he was still locked up, and then he ended up dying like while being locked up. And he was like a mid 40s, like ish, like healthy-ish guy, not like he shouldn't have just died in prison like that. But
no, I mean, shit, some people just get, I mean, you gotta accept what you're doing going over into those war-torn countries or something. That's something that I don't think I could ever do. Like journalists who go over there on the front lines and stuff like that's nuts, terrifying. Yeah. That's terrifying.
I mean, I kind of get it from a certain aspect, because like trying to
they're all thrill junkies at the end of the day, bro.
Yeah, I mean that's like the same level as the people that fucking like hang off of cranes and stuff like that. Like seriously,
I think they're a little bit more than that, bro. Fucking hanging off a crane ain't the same as going into a war-torn country with one of the biggest powers in the world, like Russia, and fighting Ukraine.
I don't know. I think I'd rather go to the theater of war than fucking like hang off of a fucking crane and try and pull myself back up. That just seems way scary.
Maybe you just need to work on your upper body strength.
It just seems way scarier to me, dude.
Yeah, fucking. But oh well, man. You wanna move on to some what we've been sipping on type thing?
For sure, dude.
No, you got anything more you want to say about politics?
No, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, like I said, I really hope that those two picks get in the intelligence areas because, like, that shit,
It's important.
There's evidence that, the CIA helped assassinate a president before, a sitting president. So there's, there has to be some sort of way to, like, rein that shit in, and they shouldn't be able to just do whatever they want with no way or form of answering to the American people whatsoever. They can always just cop out and say, "Oh, we can't speak about that. That's an ongoing investigation," or some stupid like that. It's just
fucking release it fucking years later.
Yeah, with a bunch of redacted fucking and basically not say anything new than
now that it's irrelevant, fucking we'll let you know what happened back then. Everyone's not in the seats of power anymore, so
yeah, no doubt.
All right, but let's move on, man. I know you wanted to talk about that Mexican drug cartel type shit or whatever, but when I looked into it, I didn't really think that it was that relevant of a topic.
I think it's gonna escalate more, like
it
just
might.
because, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But like. That shit's just crazy. Like that
I
has
thought
the
you were
potential.
I thought you were talking about like a straight up like cartel like border war with the patrol. It was just some guys getting caught and fucking no one even died in that situation.
No, but they did shoot at like without any like being.
Well, of course they got caught muling drugs into the fucking country. Yeah. Like they shot
basically to get away.
Yeah, they're trying to get away and fucking a firefight broke out. So it's just more shit that's happening. I mean, it definitely does say that tensions are getting a little bit hot with the deportation thing, but I think that that's a topic that we should hit on maybe another time because I know some other topics will come up at that point. But,
for sure. Yeah.
But anyway, let's move on to what last topic is. We always use your house our rules, which is what we've been sipping on, which is any media that we've been consuming in the past weeks, whatever. Ben, fucking, what you been sipping on?
There's this show on Amazon Prime called Secret Levels or Secret Level, and it's like each episode of the show is like an individual, like 10 to 15 to, there's a couple of them that are just around 20 minutes long, and they like all pretty much exist in video game universes, and they're just like independent. They're all like the animation's different from episode to episode.
It's one of those.
Yeah, and so like the very first episode is like in like Dungeons and Dragons world.
It's kind of like
there's one that's like a Pac-Man story, and
what's it called? The love-hate robots or whatever, love-sex robots maybe. Something like that. Sure. It's on Netflix. We used to watch it. We used to fucking get tripped.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we used to get tripped out and watch it.
Yeah, it's a super weird show. I remember Justin watching that sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
There was one episode where this like chick was like in the water and she was like made out of this really weird, like,
I don't know. Some of them get really deep, but everyone has a different animation style. Some of them are crazy. Yeah. Like there's one where someone witnesses their own murder, and there's another one where like they're caught out in the desert without any gas in their car, and they see all these like super trippy like whales and stuff swimming through the air and stuff, and then you find out that they died, and that was like their purgatory into heaven and stuff like that. It's a pretty cool show. It's kind of hard for me to get behind shows like that though, because I like anything about not necessarily just that, because like I can kind of put two and two together, but like that was one of those ones where it's only like 15-minute episodes, or depending on how long the creator wanted it to be or whatever. It's hard for me to really like get into that because I like a more drawn out story, like a Game of Thrones type thing. I like being able to watch multiple seasons where I fucking the universe
like,
expands.
Something that's hooking you and making you want to watch like what's next. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So this show definitely doesn't have that. But it's really cool. Like I said, a lot of the stories are just like, neat, and it's like unique, and like that's one of the cool things about it is like you don't have to, know what's going on. You could just watch any random episode.
It's the type of show that like you can fucking watch doing some homework or something like that. Like you don't necessarily need to like be locked in and paying attention to it. And stuff
but
like that.
It's really neat. I don't know what like a bunch of the universes are. I hadn't really looked into it that much. But
are they like established universes? Is it like there's a Marvel episode, a Matrix episode?
Yeah, like a bunch of different stuff like that. Like I said, the very first episode was like based in like a Dungeons and Dragons world.
Oh,
and then
that makes it a little
there
bit
was one that was like Pac-Man, but it it's weird because how can you do Pac-Man, right? But like it's like
man, Pac-Man lore is fucking lit, bro.
Yeah, dude, this shit was crazy. There's like this little Pac-Man ball that's like following him around and telling him like that he's got to like basically like keep like leveling up and like trying to survive and stuff, and like he keeps dying and going back and then like at the end of it like Pac-Man like fucking like goes into his head or his chest and like eats through him and like basically takes all of his power and stuff. But the whole time you think like Pac-Man's like there,
He's
like
just
as like
him up some Hansel and Gretel shit.
Yeah, dude, basically it was fucking trippy as fuck. But
Yeah,
there was
I
some
might have to-
pretty neat little episodes.
You're making it sound a little bit better than it is now, man. Fucking.
Dude, it was wild when I watched the episode. I was like, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, nah. I always like when something gets me because there's a lot of shows that I watch that that I lose interest in them, or just like I watch it to the end because I'm somewhat interested in it, and then the ending is exactly how I thought it was going to be, and I'm like, yeah, nah, trash. Yeah, nah. So I get caught up a lot of times. I watch way too many shows all the way through that like I just
didn't like.
Yeah, it's like I'm 3 episodes in because that's always the rule. Well, with anime at least because those are short episodes. Anime, you fucking there's like a weeb thing that it's like it's the 3 episode rule. Fucking if you watch 3 episodes and you're not interested, drop it. But I still watch it every time because I just I convince myself I'm like it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. Nope, that shit sucked. I'll be watching the last episode. There's been a lot too that like I've got made it to the last episode and I just stop on the last episode.
No way.
Yeah, because I was like, it's not gonna get better. I know better at this point.
No way.
Yeah. So, but I guess we'll move on to what I've been sipping on. So, I do want to give a little shout out. I know I always talk about anime, so fucking I'm not gonna get into it because no one ever like really picks at it a little bit. But I've been watching. I know the second season just dropped. I've been getting into because I usually watch Battle Shonen, which are just like the super hyped up fucking action ones or whatever. I started getting into a little other stuff, and there was this show called The Apothecary Diaries, which is like apothecary is like a poison specialist and stuff like that.
Yeah,
there's like this chick who's an apothecary for like the lower end part of like Kyoto or whatever in Japan, and like she's working for prostitutes. She's working in a brothel, and she ends up getting I can't remember exactly how it happens, but she ends up getting promoted to like a food taster for one of the emperor's concubines. And just the way that she like interacts with people and how she's just got kind of like so good at what she does, it kind of like sets her apart from all the other like food tasters and stuff like that. And then there's this guy who's like supposed to be a eunuch, and there's some stuff that I read into that I'm not going to spoil or whatever. But there starts to be this romance that develops between them, and like he takes notice of them, and then it just develops from there, and that's really cool.
What is it? What is that on?
I'm pretty sure you can watch it on Crunchyroll.
Is it an anime?
It is an anime.
Oh,
yes.
okay. I thought you said you weren't. I got you.
No, but I was just gonna just hit on that one a little bit. But the other one that I've been watching, this isn't an anime. It is based in Japan though. I recently just got into this guy named Abroad in Japan on YouTube. And basically, he's this English guy who moved to Japan 12 years ago, just like packed up his shit, went to Japan, started learning Japanese, and became an English teacher over in like some rural part of Japan, and started like documenting it from YouTube. And now it's 12 years later, and he's got like 2 million subscribers, and he goes around and visits all like the locations of Japan and stuff like that. And it's just it's solid shit. It's good stuff. It's common like big YouTuber stuff, but just like I love Japanese culture so much. I love
amazing, dude.
Yeah.
I probably watch more YouTube than I do any of the streaming apps. Like, as far as like watching political content or like like I get when I don't have the time to watch a full 5-hour hearing. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I'll watch the highlights of it and see like the gist of what happened, and like
exactly.
So I consume so much content on YouTube.
Their
YouTube
algorithm is
like,
so good for fucking finding recommended shit to like what you actually like. I do find that it gets me a lot of garbage fucking shit though. Like sometimes I'll be like sitting there going through, because I watch so many video game based things that like I'll see the same thing just reskinned, like a video essay on Fallout or something like that, like a 3-hour video essay or whatever, which are great to fall asleep to. But actually sit down and watch, it's like these are just full of my recommended. I'm like, I'm not watching 3 hours of the same retrospective of fucking Lord of the Rings Twin Towers game or some shit, which was a dope game, by the way.
Dude, yeah, there have been some cool Lord of the Rings games.
They did movie games right, man, fucking back in the day.
There have been some good ones. Like, it honestly kills me now, like, because of the way game development is, like, how you really don't get any, like, big franchises making games anymore that are, like, good. Like, Star Wars, back in the day before it got sold to Disney, like, released so many good Star Wars games in, like, a very, very short period of time. Bro. Yeah, so many of them. And it's, like, so they were developing, like, 10 games at once. And now... Yeah. Now they have all the money in the world, and they develop like these just ass cheeks.
And same
games.
with the shows too, man.
Fucking, 100%.
Like it's at this point, it's just cash grabs and fucking pumping out content. And like you use Star Wars, it kind of gets like that with everything. But Star Wars is really bad for it.
Dude, it hurts my feelings.
The thing about
such a Star Wars,
but homer. The thing about Star Wars is like I like it. I'm not a huge Star Wars homer, but I do like it a lot. The thing is, they focus on this same 100-year period of one of the most expansive universes in the fucking history of like cinema. Like they focus on one little section. It's like, please give me a Knights of the Old Republic fucking show.
Dude, right?
And make it fucking MA. Don't make it for fucking kids and just like have at it. It'd be so dope.
I feel like they could really do some cool shit if they would.
They could. If they don't hire the fucking Disney writers to do it, because I don't need this fucking DEI fucking bullshit, bro. I do not.
DEI is DIE.
Luke Skywalker's a black woman now, and she's gay. Yeah, but fucking, it is what it is, man. You good? You got anything else you want to sip on, or you want to wrap this one up?
I think we're pretty good, dude.
Okay, well now that we're finished sipping on that, he's gonna sip on my dick. This has been episode 72 of Your House Our Rules. Peace.
Now he's gonna sip on my